Hey everybody, welcome to the Leadership Syllabus. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jaramillo. The Leadership Syllabus Podcast provides insights from leaders on the main leadership lesson they've learned from their work, life, and experiences and who they are as a person. Each 30-minute mod will capture a bit about who the guest is, their work, and the one lesson they would contribute to the Leadership Syllabus. This collection of mods will offer you a one-series stop of real-world and life lessons to enhance your own self-understanding, awareness, and effectiveness in leadership and life. And today's mod is on community and connection. My guest today is Kisha Zullo, and Kisha is a dynamic entrepreneur, president of Events of Joy, and the founder of Women in Business Summit, or WIB for short, and is a dedicated leader in women's empowerment. As a certified meeting professional, or CMP, with over 25 years of experience in the hospitality industry, she has excelled in both sales and event management, bringing people together with purpose and impact. And Kisha joined me on episode 25 of my other podcast, The Book Leads, Impactful Books for Life and Leadership, where she shared the book, Who Moved My Cheese? And it's crazy to think that that is the last time we spoke like this, because that was May of 2022.
Yes.
Kisha, thank you for coming back for this one.
Oh my goodness, such a pleasure. I know. I'm now reading Good to Great by Jim Collins. That's the one I'm reading now, and it's been good so far. But yeah,
just let me know whenever you want to talk about any book, anything at all. I trust you completely. So Kisha, to start off, how would you describe yourself? Who are you as a person?
Wow, that's a big as a person. I try to do everything and lead with love. That sounds very corny, but I remember I went to Keep Candle. They are entrepreneurs in the Hudson Valley area. And to my pleasant surprise, the candles are, really amazing work. They source their ingredients from all over the world, places and ingredients that I didn't think about. And it was the first time when I walked in and I saw on the beams of their building, it says, lead with love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have a whole sign in my office that says lead with love. And I think that comes from my mom, and everything is like, do I love it? Do I is this feel good to me? I really just go by my gut in everything that I do. And so if I'm planning an event, if I am planning WIB Summit, if I'm working with people, if I am talking to my friends, it's always from a place of love. So I think that would be the best place to start. I mean, without drawing out about
a great place to start.
Who am I and what I do? I think that's it. I just, that's
when did you realize that? Because you may live like that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We may have a code that we don't really know is a code until one day it's like, oh shit, this is a code.
This is the code.
So what happened that you realized, okay, I lead with love. That's what it is. I can nail it down to this phrase, to this way of being. Do you remember when it clicked for you?
I think, and it's recent that I could even put it into that sentencing, because I always wonder, like, what is it about me? Why do I love this thing? And the word love just kept coming up over and over again. And I think I went to a conference and it was an overwhelming feeling. Like, I love this. I love this industry. And I thought about, I spent a lot of time thinking about who are my favorite bosses, coming up through my career, and what made a difference in my career because of how they led. And they may not have called it love, but it was compassionate people who were super smart and held the line. Very different personalities. I am definitely more family oriented. I think, when I think of anything, I'm like, how is it going to impact someone else? I definitely lead from that place in everything that I do. And when I thought of the bosses that made a really significant impact, I felt loved, even when we were parting ways. My first job, undergrad, when I was going to grad school, my boss, I told him I was leaving and, to go to grad school. And I had just started the job maybe 2 years prior. And, normal circumstances, your boss is like, great, now I have to go find someone else. I have to replace you, Well, this amazing man called to Rhode Island, to where I was going to grad school, talked to a general manager at that property, gave me an incredible reference. This is without me knowing. Gave me an incredible reference. Said, I have this employee. She's coming to your area. I think she'd be incredible. And I interviewed, but I walked into a job with so much behind me. He was so supportive. And I think about just all those little instances. And it was being at that event. It was thinking about past experiences, thinking about how I relate to my family and people, and love was the word that came back to me. And I think if you just start with that place of having compassion, being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes, you never know what kind of difference it will make in their life. And whenever I have felt any kind of challenges, love was the thing that got me through. Whether it's a boss who says, well, we're going to cut your hours, but you're still working, and here's how we can make sure that you still have this opportunity. We have to let you go, but here's an incredible recommendation. You're leaving, whatever the case may be. It's always from that you can soften things, the blows of life, if there's love surrounding you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look at leadership like management, that it just stops there. That I'm supposed to help this person out, give them the tools they need, make sure that they can move up and be the next manager. Mm-hmm. They may not consciously think about it that way, but then leadership is really, how am I going to leave this person better? This person, not this worker. Of course, the work is going to happen, but how do I leave this person better off? How do I develop them as a person, as a human? Using these lofty words, but I love that the idea of the leader having some form of love, some form of compassion, empathy, sympathy, looking out for the person that they lead.
Absolutely.
Kisha, what can you share about your work? What does your work look like these days?
So I have the pleasure of working with clients who want to plan their signature event if it's a nonprofit and don't have the staff or need just some guidance. I was talking to a potential client yesterday, and they are celebrating a milestone 25th anniversary, and they came to me, found me through referrals and said, we're planning this anniversary celebration. We've always done it ourselves, but now we need that extra help. Someone who understands events better than we do, someone who can put into words what we're trying to express and how we're trying to celebrate the people who've been part of our organization for this many years, and even those who retired. So in that half-hour conversation that I had with them, I was able to express how I was able to do that. And so clients hire Events of Joy, hire myself and my team because of the 25 plus years experience that I have to be able to look at an event, especially as an independent planner, because I've seen many parts of the event planning phases. But as an independent and looking at the total event and being able to see it from the end all the way back to the beginning, and then taking out the stress of them having to step away from their daily role to then plan this signature event or this conference. And that's what I love. I love being able to see all the parts, put them together, pull in all of the other event professionals, and then we present this amazing experience for our clients. So that's what I love to do. And then with Women in Business Summit, we're going into our 20th anniversary. And for that, I think about all of the women, because we are predominantly, our audience are women who are coming to be filled and to feel motivated and to get that leadership training and networking opportunity that they may not get in their day-to-day. So yeah, events, I say on LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile, one day I just went on there and I changed it and I said, events are my jam, because it is.
So how do you see, how do you infuse that love, that joy?
Yeah.
How do you infuse that into the experience, even though you're planning it for somebody else? What steps do you take? What little things do you do that infuses, again, we talked that love can look different ways.
Yes.
How do you infuse joy, love into the experiences for your clients and their events?
So it's the practical way is through one of my processes, asking them what does success look like for their event. And then I ask them about their audience, because to make something impactful, you have to know who's coming, and what do those people like to see and what fills them up. That's what contributes to the experience. And I was in conversation with someone and I was telling them about WIB Summit. And I said, when our attendees walk in, I want them, all their five senses to be activated. So, it's a full experience from the beginning to the end, and we're just helpful and it's welcoming. And I've been complimented where people say, well, when I come into the event, even if I come by myself, I still feel welcome. Because sometimes you walk in and you're like, oh, this is not, the energy is off. So I try to recreate that for my clients and ask them, like, what do you want? What does success look like for you? Who's coming? I find out a lot about the audience, because if it's predominantly men or balanced, or if there are children there, what does that look like? It's very different for different generations, what they're interested in and how they're going to be, made to feel like they're a part of the experience. So I ask just very detailed questions, and not afraid to pivot along the way if something's not working. So yeah, I think
Kisha,
that's the main way.
For you, what has your work taught you? How has it changed you overall?
Man, these are amazing questions, Chuck. Like, you're good.
That's my jam. That's my jam, Kisha.
You're so good. You're so good, because I don't think about these things. So what it's taught me, not to assume anything, and to ask more questions. And so I heard someone say, assume positive intent, because I get a lot of emails and you never know what kind of day that person's having. Yeah. So I really try to just not assume anything about anyone, and ask more questions, and have a lot of empathy and forgiveness, and, remind people, like, this is what we're all on the same team. We're working towards the same goal. The way you approach it may be different. Because I'm a very visual learner. So when I'm talking to someone who's very data driven and, who has a different way of looking at things, who's more numbers driven, and I'm like, well, what does it feel like? And they may come in and say, well, how much is it? I'm talking about the feeling and they're talking about the money. Yeah. So, being able to work with all different personality types, it's been really, really interesting, and seeing how people relate to each other, and not to come with, we all have our biases, and I love when I'm surprised by people in a good way. It's really nice. And even those times when it's challenging and I'm like, oh, that was really, really a hard conversation or a really hard experience, I don't want to do that anymore. It's still a learning opportunity for me.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point, because it shows you what else is out there, who else is out there, that not everybody wants what we want. And we got to understand other people if we want to be effective. Right. And I think the more conversations you have like that, if you come out of it relatively unscathed, you're like, okay, now I can consider this when I'm talking to somebody who may believe that way. At the same time, I think it makes going back to our comfortable conversations a bit sweeter. We don't take them for granted as much as we usually do. We appreciate them a little more. So, I mean, everything in life, even the sour stuff, has some kind of contribution to the sweet part. So I appreciate that. Yeah, Kisha, for you, what is the biggest lesson you've learned, whether from your work or your life, that applies to leadership?
Oh, wow. I would say one of the biggest lessons, because I think I should, part of my personal story is that I lost my husband suddenly, right? And so that informed just how I approach people differently, and, making sure that, because I don't know if that's especially my nearest and dearest, like, I don't know if that's the last time I'll ever see them. And it sounds morbid, but it makes you move a little differently when you don't take for granted that this may be your final encounter, especially when it's sudden. Not in a morbid way, and it really just has me feeling like, okay, I really want to make these connections with the people that I care about. When it comes to leadership, again, I think it comes back to just me not assuming anything, and just having more empathy, and wanting to improve myself to be a better leader. And always, it reminds me to not rest on my laurels and think I know it all. I'm always open. I learned from my 6-year-old niece to my 85-year-old, she's my cousin, my mom's cousin, but yeah, I learn something every day by just being open and knowing that I don't know it. And I think that experience really has shifted my patience level. I was a patience person, but and giving myself the opportunity to know, okay, I don't know this. I'm going to find out the answer. I'm always going to learn. I could be better at improving my communication. And it's interesting too now because AI is so much, I'm going in another direction, but staying in the same vein. AI is we use it for so many things, and because of all those experiences, it's making me wanting to make sure that we don't forget our humanity in everything. Even when we have to make, again, really tough decisions, that remember that, okay, I may be fine. It may not affect me, but how does it affect someone else? I think that's so, so important.
Yeah, you mentioned not to be morbid. It's interesting. Just in the last 24 hours, another podcast conversation I had, we were talking about going with our gut and realizing what we want, the importance of the tough stuff that we go through, that tomorrow's not guaranteed, live in the present. You know, if you want something, go with your intuition. Don't say no to yourself because you only have one life.
Right.
So we brought up that word, none of this is to be morbid, but I think there is benefit to looking at how finite life is and how fleeting it can be. Like you just said, you could be gone tomorrow, instant loss. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like you don't want to delve into the morbid, but I mean, this is life. Mm-hmm. That's the way it is. It's not guaranteed. So that appreciation and understanding, again, you look at the stuff that's sour to help you appreciate the better flavors in life and what it is that you really want. But I think every once in a while, it's good to look back and say everything that went wrong, everything that went bad, whatever it may be, didn't go my way. It serves some purpose. It sounds cliche, but it serves some kind of purpose.
Right. And it's pushed me to be a bigger risk taker. I'm very much a safety and security type of person, but I find myself just taking these big risks and saying, I know the way will show itself, even when I don't know how. My curiosity for what it will look like when we went to Brighton and planning the conference, I shared with you that the first year it didn't go as planned, but it's just being able to say, I really want that. I think it would be great for people to see what it's like to be in another country. I think it would be great for people to come out of their comfort zones, shake things up, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll try something else.
Yeah.
I'm not, it's not like heart surgery. It's not like jumping off a cliff. But I understand that it can be scary. And I was scared doing it. Scared the whole time. But
and another piece of that is like, okay, you're scared now in the present, but what's worse is that little fear you have today or the regret you're going to have later. Yes. That you didn't do something that was calling to you.
We've heard that, right? And I've heard people say, it's worse to live in the regret. And I didn't want to live in the regret. There are certain things that I'm like, okay, if I never go to Mars, it's fine.
Yeah.
If I never do that, that's fine. But if I'm curious about something and it's a pull to do it, and I know it's a pull because I feel it and it keeps coming up over and over again, and I'm trying to ignore it and I don't do it. Oh yeah, that is regret. Big time regret.
Yeah. Kisha, now when it comes to the mod title, community and connection, what are some specific action steps you have for the audience in terms of putting that into play, especially as it applies to their leadership?
All right. So that's the theme of our conference for the entire year. So when we went to Brighton, England, it was community and connection. We did an event on Network on Board. There was community connection there. And then the conference that's coming up. For me, it made me think of one specific example. I remember I had a boss, this was early in my career, who was terrific at managing people. She was very young in her career as well. She was I think for someone who was running a department, but she did it so expertly well because she, again, led with love, and she was super tough, and she was very fair. So when I thought of community and connection, one of the things that I've been thinking about is how Andrea was able to do all that she did and have us rally around her in very difficult times. And I think about people who lead teams. When I am leading my team and having people sign on board with me to do these things, community, when you put in the effort to get to know people, to understand them, to understand their leadership style, and you show up for them when times are challenging, when you want them to move, they will move. I just remember, her coming to us when at the time it was during 9/11 and DC sniper, like all these things were going on. We worked in the DC area at the time. And she came to us, and I forget what we were going through, but the main office was cutting staff. And she came to us and said, she was like, I don't want to lose a single person in this office. Would you all be willing to do XYZ? And she laid out a plan for us to shift so that although we had reduced hours, she wouldn't lose any of us, because she had the foresight to know this is just another wave, and we can ride this wave if we did this XYZ. And when we came through that, everyone I know was so grateful for that opportunity to not just be looked at as a number. And we would do bonding things together. Like we would go to, day trips to a winery, and we do team building exercise. So when you're building a team, and even especially through challenging times, I think you build collateral by getting to know your people, building yourself as a better communicator, doing your own leadership, your own inner work on yourself, whatever that looks like. And then, again, not looking at everyone as individuals, because it's not cookie cutter. Everyone in the office is not the same. You can talk about my family with me all day long. Somebody else, they're like, please, that is not me. So don't just use a same brush for everybody. You really take the time, and it does take time, and it does take intention to want to build that kind of community around you, that we're supportive of each other, not, stealing ideas and not giving credit, and all the things that I could get into that I've experienced working for someone else in another space, that I would say that's not good leadership. Good leadership to me is someone who can manage the good, the bad, and the ugly, keep learning them, improving themselves, and creating opportunities for their teams to keep learning. So that's the part of it, community and connection this year, that I hope that our speakers are bringing to the table for our attendees, because some of them are managing multiple things going on personally and professionally that can impact their work. I was at a caregivers conference this past March, led by the amazing Dawn Shedrick, and shout out to her for doing it, because I was listening to stories of people taking care of ailing parents and still working 60, 70 hours. How is that possible? Parents, aunts, so you think, I'm just seeing this one person, I need this done by this, and they're managing all of this. They could be managing a really scary health diagnosis. So people are showing up, and they want to show up, and they want to do their best work. I'm not saying that's everybody, but you can tell when someone's invested in you and want to do, their best work. And this team that I was a part of, we certainly were. Very different age ranges, individuals. I was fresh out of grad school, and there's someone who was very senior in her career, men and women on this team. But our boss was able to just create an environment where we all felt supported in our own way. And when she left, we all wanted to go with her.
Yeah.
We're
leaders where you'll go to bat for them. They'll go to bat for you, so you want to return that favor because they've built that trust.
Trust.
Kisha,
There's the word.
What kind of specifics would you give to somebody whose natural instinct isn't to gravitate towards connection or community, right? Maybe they're introverts. I was an introvert, right? Now I want to build community as much as possible. But what would you suggest for somebody as initial steps to build connection and community? What does that look like when those initial steps? Because not everybody's cookie cutter. So what could somebody do that's not quite their wheelhouse, but they know it's important and they want to start stepping in that direction?
Yeah, I'm with you, John. Listen, my favorite thing is to just hang out by myself. I love my own company.
And people don't believe us. They don't believe us, but it's incredible.
It's so nice when the things are quiet and it's just me. But part of my job is to build those connections. So I'll use when I started WIB Summit, I remember thinking, what am I missing? I'm not the type of person who goes out after work and hangs out, and I can't build community that way because that's just not me. I go home and I'm with my family, and that's my happy place. But I still want to get to know my coworkers. And so the first advice is, if you're interested in it, because that's the thing, you have to care about wanting to build community and build connection with people. So is making yourself available and open. Sometimes the space is already created for you. So as an event planner, especially with WIB Summit, that space is created, and we intentionally put networking as part of our agenda. And so you can look and say, well, where can I go to not have a friend in the room, and I'm forced to, it's going to be uncomfortable because it was the first time I really took myself. I remember I went to a conference in Chicago by myself. I was like, I don't know anybody, but it was the best experience because it forced me to get to know people. And I would just say, continue to work on yourself, read the books, listen to the positive things, go to training, go to events. That would be, my first step if I was starting all over again and wanting to make connections with people and know why you're there and show up.
Yeah. The curiosity is huge.
Yeah. And not in a way where it's like, oh, I'm going to go get this. And, just make it natural. Practice until it becomes something that you naturally do. And I think you're the same way. We're led by our curiosity. I want to see if this is possible. I want to see, will this work? And sometimes community is being formed around me that I didn't know. When I lost my husband, all these people, I look back at the cards and I'm amazed that these folks even cared about my life. And so there was already community there. I look back at newspaper clippings about the hundreds of people that gathered on the New Haven Green to hold a candlelight vigil for my husband. I wasn't there. They all did it because of the friendships that he built over the years. He was a very extroverted person to my introvert.
Opposites attract.
Right. But you know what I mean? Sometimes it's forming around you, but you can also be intentional about it through those ways. Events, learning more and looking for those opportunities to connect.
Kisha, in wrapping up, is there anything else you want to share about what you're up to? Here's your moment to plug. The floor is all yours.
So September 25th is the 20th Annual Women in Business Summit. I am so excited. We are pulling together 50% of our audience are solopreneurs like myself, entrepreneurs who are building their business. And the other comes from all over. So corporate, nonprofit, they're leaders who are coming to network together to learn. There's a leadership track, a networking, an entrepreneur track, and also a wellness track at the conference. So we have some wonderful surprises because it's the 20th year. So WIBSummit.com is the website with all the information, and then connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to share what we're doing. But I'm very, very excited. My dear friend, Endia Di Cordova, is one of the keynotes this year. And her career since I've met her 20 years ago has been incredible. And she was at the very first WIB Summit. So to have her kick off our 20th year is super, super special.
No, I know her. I think I met her through you. She an amazing career of work. Just following her on LinkedIn on what she's doing.
Absolutely.
Kisha, this was amazing. Thank you for the conversation.
John.
Thank you for the insights. It's been a long time, and I want to have you back on the other podcast for any book that you want to absolutely. To those listening and watching, if there's anything that I missed, anything at all, please let me know. I'll reach out to Kisha, see what kind of insights, wisdom, guidance, anything at all I can get back. In the meantime, thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye, John. Bye, everyone.